Before we get too overzealous in attacking web servers and hacking the world, we need to identify our scope and perform some initial recon to identify assets. Your trusted agent has informed you that the scope of the engagement is 10.200 and then whatever our subnet is, which what subnet are we on? 108, it would appear. And 192.168.100.0. To begin the assessment, you can scan the ranges provided and identify any public-facing infrastructure to obtain a foothold. Nmap is a commonly used port scanning tool that is an industry standard that is fast, reliable, and comes with NSE scripts. Nmap also supports CIDR notation, so we can specify a /24 notation to scan 254 hosts. If that means nothing to you, just Google it, right? It's basic networking. There are many various arguments and scripts that you can use along with Nmap. However, we will only be focusing on a few outlined below. So SV scans for services and versions. SC runs a script scan against open ports. -P- scans all ports. If you don't do that, it only scans the most common ports. -V provides verbose output. And here is our syntax. Nmap -SV -SC -P for all ports -V for verbose, and then we're going to hit our network right there. Once you've identified open machines on the network and basic ports open, you can go back over the devices again individually with a more aggressive scan, such as using the -A argument. The -A argument throws all enumeration scripts at the machine. For more information about Nmap, we suggest complete the Nmap room on TryHackMe. So I'll walk you guys through some of this. Let me go to TryHackMe, and you can see I already have a folder for it. Let's see what we all have here. So if we cd to Nmap, if I cat Nmap, whoops, ls. So that was the web server that we Nmapped. Okay. So some of these things just take time. And so I'm not going to do it in its entirety, but I'll at least walk us through it a little bit. And so that if you're doing this on your own, maybe you can do it, pause the video, and go on. But I've already done this. So if we just follow the example over here, if we do Nmap, and you know what I would do? I would first just see what hosts are up, right? So instead of throwing all these scripts at it, let's just scan that IP range and see what hosts might be up. So it's 10.200. Was ours 101? I already forgot our subnet what we're on. Oh my goodness, it's tiny. 108? Is that what it is? Or 100? 108 is 108. Okay. Got it. 10. Oh my goodness. Numlock wasn't on. So you can follow the syntax that it offers us. Yeah, here we go. Be that .0/24 for the CIDR notation. We'll do -V for verbose. And you can see we're going to scan 256 hosts. And what you'll discover if you go through this process is we are going to discover this public-facing web server right here, the 10.200.108.33. And we have, even as you look at this, just so we understand some of what's going on here, I did verbose, so that's why it's doing this. And it's hitting every single IP octet on here to see, like, are these machines up? And it's just pinging them. It's seeing, do we get a response back? So as we scroll through here, I want you to notice we have an open port on 108.250. So that's a machine. That could be maybe one of these file servers. We have 108.33. That's right there. That's going to be a web server. And we have port 80. That's how we know it's a web server, because port 80 is the common port for HTTP. Port 22 is a common port for SSH for remote management. And so we have 108.250 and we have 108.33. So a good thing to do, sorry y'all if you hear my cat, he wants to be on stream with us. If we go ahead and take a screenshot of these things. Oops, let's do that again, shall we? Close. I'm going to go higher up. If we take a screenshot, it's always a good idea to take good notes as we discover stuff. Control C. I record my notes in OneNote. I'm sure there's a billion better ways to do it, but I started in OneNote, so I have all my things here, right? So as I take classes, I try to document everything so I can go back to this. But we have boxes here, and we're gonna start a new one. We'll call it holo for THM. Try hack me, and we can go ahead and post this. So then we know we got two machines, right? 10.200.108.33 seems to be a web server, and we have the 10.200.108.250, and we're not sure what that is, at least not right now. But we have at least our screenshot saved here, so we can come back to it if we need to. The other thing that we could scan is that other IP range it gave us, which is normally like a local one, but let's go ahead and scan that. So if we do the same syntax, we'll do 192.168.100.0, and there's other options for this, so you can change with -T. I can't think of what it stands for, but basically that's the aggression. So T5 is really aggressive, which means that if you're hitting a network with this, firewalls and all those things are going to pick it up quick knowing they're being scanned, whereas T1 is going to go slower. And there's also different scans you can do in order to not make a full, like if you think of the TCP three-way handshake, it doesn't do the full handshake. So you can do ways with a little more stealth if you're doing this in a real environment. And obviously only do this if you have permission. Don't go hack stuff and say that dude on YouTube told me to. Let's grab a drink. While that does its thing, let's just keep reading. Once you've identified open machines, we can do a stronger scan against it. So the way we would do that is we know we have a web server on 33, right? If I remember right. So it would be Nmap. We could do, what I would do first is scan all the ports first. So we got 10.200.108.33, I think, in -V. And that's going to tell us what ports are open. If you try to throw more scripts at it, it's just going to slow it down. I try to first figure out what ports are open, and then I do another scan, scan with more scripts thrown at it, but then I scan the specific ports that are open, just cause it to go a little bit faster. Shoot, did I crash the web server? I hope not. Sometime on these, you can crash them for doing too much scanning. Okay, that's going too long. So I'm going to stop this scan right here. Just for now. We'll come back to it when we get to that IP range. But one thing that we're going to do is I'm going to do T5. Up the aggression, up the speed. Let's see if that goes a little bit faster for us. So it finds port 22. It finds port 80. There's a third port, if my memory serves me correct. And if you look at the questions down here, right, was the last octave, the IP address, that's 33. Oh. Dude, my cat's annoying. Can you guys hear my cat? Hey, so you can see that Amoeba Man said you can use --max retries equals 1 to make it even faster, especially during OSCP. I did not know that. So I'm going to, whoops, I don't want to use the snipping tool. Snipping tool sucks. Use this. I'm going to grab Amoeba Man's comment. You guys don't see it, but I'm going to post it over here in my notes. All right, document everything. Therefore, we can come back to it. What up, Amoeba Man? Good to have you joining, my friend. Okay, so you can see we found these ports. We can keep going, but we know there's only 3 ports open. So then what I do, once I know what ports are open, I'm going to do -P, and then we can target individual ports, right? So we can target port 22, which is SSH, port 80, which is going to be a web server. And then we don't know what 33060 is. -A means let's throw all the scripts at it, and then we'll type in the IP. We can do -V for verbose. And then what I like to do is I like to output it to like nmap.txt. Now I will say I already did that. So I'll show you guys the result of that if we go to try hack me hollow. And like I said, I did the beginning of this already. But as we go on, I'll be stumbling through it live. I think this is my file here. So, geez. The syntax is screwy because I have my screen small like that. So you can see when I scanned it, it found those 3 ports, and it's scanning different services on it. So like I guessed, port 22 is running SSH. SSH usually isn't a good attack vector, right? There's usually not a lot of weaknesses. Usually once you have creds or you can brute force, then you can attack SSH. We have port 80. Now, there's a lot of interesting things here. So as it scans, it's looking at robots.txt. Now, robots.txt is saying, hey, here are things on my web server that I don't want a web engine or a web crawler to grab. Well, I don't think most websites use it now because a lot of attackers will just like immediately look at robots.txt. Often there's an admin log in there or something else juicy, right? But when you run this script, it's looking for it automatically. So we can see here's some disallowed entries, and look what's interesting. It's giving us the full file path of WordPress, right? So it's probably running Apache, and then we can see the file structure of where index.php is at and readme.html. We know it's running WordPress, and we can see the full file structure. That's a big no-no, right? And it looks like it's trying to redirect us to hollow.live. So we may have to add some settings to our Etsy host file to see some, maybe there's multiple URLs or websites running on one server. And then we have this 33060. It thinks it's some type of MySQL server. It could be something else, right? We have the question mark there. It's unrecognized despite returning data. I'm sure we'll dig into that. So if you were to run that scan, that is a little bit about what you would see.